Hello, I am so excited because we are going to try something new today. You know how I'm always talking about those website audits that I do? Well, I thought it might be really fun to actually show you what goes on behind the scenes when I work with small business owners just like you. So today I have an amazing guest with me, Bernadette Mack, who does incredible work helping nonprofits. We're going to look at her website together, and then I'm going to share all my tips for making it really shine and call in those perfect clients she's looking for. So let's get right into the audit. Welcome to Website Design Made Simple, the podcast for busy small business owners who want a high performing website that converts and sells their offers, even while they're sleeping. Because you deserve to have a strategic and beautiful website that truly represents your brand and positions you as the expert that you are. I'm your host, Jenny B, web designer and creative director at Jenny B Designs, where we believe that your website is the one thing that makes you sales and builds your brand at the same time. Ready to say goodbye to a website that you're embarrassed to share? And hello to a money-making, personality-packed powerhouse? Let's head into today's episode. Bernadette, to start out, let's talk about if we were to come back in 6 months and chat about your website. Tell me what you would be happy with. How's it working for you? What that would be like.
Sure. I think that because I service nonprofits and because they really run the gamut of different issues and causes that they represent, um, and there are so many, sizes of nonprofits, I feel like my offerings could be infinite. And so the trouble I'm having really is to key in on those very specific offerings that when people land on my page and they are involved in a nonprofit, whether they're a volunteer there or a staff member, that they can see something that would help them and that speaks to them specifically. So I have, very broad range things that I do for people, but then also very specific. And one thing I'll say is that people are searching mostly because they want help with fundraising, and that's what everyone thinks that their problem is. But it turns out that 9 times out of 10, there's a whole bunch of things in line behind the fundraising that need to be fixed or worked on in order to get better results and more money. So, I know that I need to speak to people about fundraising, but the work actually involves a lot of different things like communication and writing and things like that. So, I would like in 6 months to have a site that is really clear about offerings that speak to the fundraising piece, but also, um, show sort of the diverse amount of things that have to be put into place in order to get there.
Okay.
Does that make
So
sense?
it does. What I'm hearing is a little bit more clarity on the customer journey for your website, as well as aligning with attracting the right clients to work with and them
Right.
understand they're in the right place. And then
Yes.
consequently filling out your contact form or getting in touch to work with you.
Right, and that's one other good point, the right clients, because I work mostly with nonprofits and mostly small to medium nonprofits, they don't have giant budgets to spend on consulting services and all that stuff. They're trying to like DIY everything, and usually they're just spread too thin. And so I need to have offerings that allow people who really need my help, which are usually the smaller people with small budgets, to be able to get something, get some help at a price that they can afford, but then also have offerings that are for some of the bigger clients that can afford to do some of that deeper work and bigger projects. So it's a fine, balance between who the right clients are. And I just I have a heart for this work. And so of course you just want to help everyone, but I also am a business. So
Okay. So being really strategic with what you're sharing so that you are in alignment with those clients.
yeah,
And it could be a range. It sounds like you have a range of clients and you want to be welcoming to all, but you want to be
yes,
upfront with what you can offer and how you can help them.
exactly.
Okay, perfect. I feel like this is a commonplace for a lot of businesses at a certain point in their business journey. Maybe they've been doing it for a while and then they've reached a point where they need to be a little bit more specific. They need to really look at what they're offering, who they're reaching, and then have their website kind of come in alignment with that. And, your website is supposed to grow with you as you grow. And it's always a piece of the puzzle that's ever evolving. So this is a great exercise to kind of look and see how everything fits together. I'm going to share my screen and let's look at your website. Okay. So right now, when we land on your website, we see your logo up front and center at the header in the hero section that says Solutions for Busy Nonprofit Leaders. And then we have a list of navigation items: writing services, podcast, blog, email, about us, contact me, which is a button, and login, which I believe it says login because it's a Kajabi website. Is that correct that you have?
Yes. And I offer courses through there, so people would have to log into their personal section.
Okay. And then right under it, you have this beautiful collage of photos of you, which I love seeing the business owner front and center. And it says, "Hello, I'm so glad you're here, Bernadette Mack." When someone comes to your website, this is the first thing that they're seeing. And I think this is the most important piece of a website. It needs to be immediately clear who you are, who you help, and how you're going to make their life better. And the navigation needs to be really concise and simple and kind of guiding people on their journey. My first thought to you is that when you land on your website, I know in your logo it says Solutions for Busy Nonprofit Leaders, but I'm not clear on what that solution is. And I know you're mentioning that's like part of the process right now is trying to align on what you offer. The hero section, this big image, it says, "Hello, I'm so glad you're here," with your name. Instead, what I would love to see when you land on the website, if possible, to minimize your logo off to the side so it's taking up less real estate. And to be able to see, I do love this beautiful collage that you have there. But immediately when you land on the website, who it's for and how you help them. And usually that's a headline and a subheadline. And I've noticed you have, let's just pop over to your services. So your services right now is that you offer writing services. Do you think that that encapsulates what you do? Do you offer, is that what you do for nonprofits? You help with writing services? Or would it be more than that?
That's a lot of what I do. I would say that out of the clients that I have right now, writing is probably 75% of what I'm helping them with. And that's part of a bigger strategy usually for them. Whether it's to have more email marketing, which I am a big proponent of, or rewriting their website, which is a couple of clients that I have right now. So writing is a huge part. And this was the last time I kind of went through, trying to improve my site a bit. That was my attempt to niche down and speak to people about a specific thing. Like, let me focus on writing because this is mostly what I do for people.
That makes perfect sense. I think that writing is the actual part of the actual service, but you're doing much more for the nonprofit. You're, helping them grow. You're helping them to raise more money. You're helping their nonprofits thrive. And messaging isn't my gift in life. There are wonderful copywriters like you who do this better than I. Which is actually hard to do if you're a copywriter and to do it yourself.
Yes. Strangely, yes.
But even with like playing with an AI, I don't know if you do that or not, but I've loved to play with it. And you can use prompts like, this is who I work with. So you work with nonprofits, and this is what I usually do for them, resulting in, you can talk about all the results you get for the nonprofit. And coming up with a headline and a subheadline that is so clear that when a nonprofit leader, as you call them, or a nonprofit, however you want to refer to them, lands on your hero, they know that you can help them with the problem that they have. Adding that as soon as you land on your website with a button that brings them to the services page or to learn more about you would be a really important piece to add to your hero section. So
Okay.
that when someone lands here, they understand that you can help them immediately.
Right.
In terms of your navigation, before I scroll down the page anymore, that's another piece of the puzzle where people start to really understand what you do. I love a clean, streamlined navigation, as few items as possible. You had a lot of amazing resources. I know you have your newsletter, you've got a blog, there's a podcast. I also know if you scroll down the page, you have all of these free resources, email list building tools, bylaws, mission value, workbook. It would be great to bucket some items in the top navigation. You could have, for the first option, services. And under services, we could either, and I think this is where you might need to flesh it out, you could have a singular page for your services, or if you wanted to bucket it into different types of services, it would be under a singular tab for services. I'd also do another tab for resources. And under that, I would put the blog, the podcast, the newsletter, and perhaps a bucket for these downloadables, free downloadables or something like that, that has their own singular page under resources.
Okay.
And then I would have the about, because it's always important. This is actually probably one of your most highly visited pages on your website, to have an about page. And then finally, the contact me button on the right-hand side, which I'm just clicking it now, brings you to the call. Yes, Ted. So text me to set up a call. That's great. However that you want them to get in touch with you. The login button, if it's possible, I would move that to the footer of your website so that people aren't confused. It's not in the way. And your top navigation is clean. Services, resources, about, contact me. Very clean and simple. If someone wants to work with you, they see what's under the services drop down. Someone wants to kind of get to know what you do under the resources. There are so many ways that they can get like a foot into the door. Does that make sense with the top navigation, kind of streamlining it a little bit?
Yeah, totally. And it's so funny you say that it's hard to do it yourself. Like helping people strategize their websites and redesign them, from a like strategic point of view and a copy point of view is like something that I frequently do. And then I look at my own site and it's like I would tell myself to fix all of that. Like, what the heck?
I
So
know.
it's like taking your own advice or, it's just really, I think, spending the time and the attention on this, that's so important. But I do have a question about female because one of my biggest objectives is like lead generation and list building so that I can build up my email list because I usually email on about a weekly basis. And it's an important way that I stay in contact with people. I get a lot of replies from them and it keeps me connected to people on my list. And so I need to have a way, I need it to be a priority that people get on my list when they get to my page. They might not purchase anything or download anything right away, but they immediately know that they want to hear from me in some capacity and maybe get helpful tips. So, what do you recommend so that it's really clear that that's one of the major objectives that I want you to do when you land on my page?
I love that. I always start with what is the overall goal of the website. Sounds like to me you have two goals. The first one being you want people to contact you to work with you. The second being get people to sign up for your email newsletter. And I'm a firm believer in you need an email newsletter to help make money with your website. It is a big piece of the puzzle. I do notice that on your call out up at the top in the header, there's an announcement bar, and it says new free 24 email writing prompts for maybe 2025. We'll update that year.
Yeah.
Yes, but that I'm assuming would get people onto the email, the newsletter list. Is that correct?
Yeah, I also see a typo in there. Been there all year, apparently.
That
Oh,
would be the announcement bar would be a great way to get people onto your list. I also think that having it just called B-mail, people aren't entirely sure what that is. Under resources, let's relabel it as free newsletter, or I like to, instead of like getting people to sign up for your newsletter, I always like to share like what's the incentive? What do you give them? Why do they want to sign up for your newsletter?
right.
Perhaps we could have a free newsletter in the navigation, and once you get to that page, you could share a little bit about why someone would want to get on the list. I'm just scrolling down. Yeah, you have it. Emails you actually want to read. Deliver interesting, insightful ideas about nonprofit management and leadership you'll ever read. That's a wonderful box. You have it right on your homepage. I would put it on other pages as well if it's
Okay.
important to build up your newsletter list. But labeling
Okay.
it as something like free newsletter or newsletter, it would be more recognizable to people versus B-mail, because people don't immediately understand what that is.
Okay. Yeah, it's always that trap of trying to be, like, clever versus clear.
Right.
And, I'm always telling people that, but then again, follow your own advice, right?
Well, I think you should. I love the name B-mail. But when someone is learning about it, just call it newsletter up at the top. And then when they get to that page, call it email. Like that makes sense. Same with the
Okay.
blog. When we'll have fancy names with the blogs. Just call it blog up at the top. And then when you get to the page, make it as creative as you want.
Perfect. That's a great suggestion.
Streamlining that navigation, streamlining that hero section, and making sure that people really understand why they're on your website, I think will help with the user journey. And then driving them to your services page. And I'm going to share on the services page, when you land on there, I love the photo of you. And are they picking up what you're putting down? Understand your vision for the future, how they can support your mission to get on the right track. This is sharing a lot about writing. Perhaps there's a way that, and again, this is like messaging and copy, but looking at the messaging on this page and making it a little bit more general, about more results about how you can help their nonprofit, and then get into the ways that you can help people through different types of writing. Because I notice when you scroll down to the bottom, you have under the FAQs, you have what writing services do you offer? I think that this is all copy that should be in the actual body of your main sales page, talking about how I can help you writing for fundraising, helping with your website copy. These are all things that should be higher up the page, and I think more about them versus just in the FAQ. We'll clarify.
Okay.
Can help. Also including, I do like the what are your rates, the FAQ part, but you can even up at the top, if you're talking about how you work with people and the different services that you offer. In services, I'm using that very loosely, kind of like the buckets that you offer, because you don't want to get too specific, because I know you do so many things. But saying
Yeah.
something, prices start at, or custom packages available, something just to ease their mind up at the top in the main page. And then if you wanted to include the specifics down below, that's also a good place to have it.
Okay. Yeah, I have that included because I feel like I explained before, people are coming from different sized organizations with, very little or, moderate budgets. And so I just want people to see right away, like, is this something that I can afford, rather than waste people's time? And I like the transparency aspect of it, but it is really hard because there are, things that are project based or whatever. So I'll keep on working on how to give that information, but also make it clear that it depends on the project, and stuff like that. So, um, yeah.
I
Uh,
agree. I like to be very transparent and share pricing, but I also don't want people to. for lack of a better word, nickel and dime you for like,
Hmm.
you said this appeal is like $20. I wanted to make sure that people know that they're welcome, these clients that you will work with them on the investment, but they're not coming to you because they're looking to see who is at the most discounted rate, if that makes sense. So maybe there's a nice fine line that you can share that can share that you do work with people on that different scales.
Yeah. Great. So I just have a question generally about services. You know that a big bulk of what I do is writing, and that's also very time consuming for me. So it's harder for me to take on more clients if I'm doing a ton of writing work. And I have like one other client that I have right now is literally starting from scratch trying to launch a nonprofit. And so she needs every single thing, from bylaws to, building a board and all of that kind of stuff. And so under services, how many different types of things do you think is wise to showcase? Um, Knowing that the more specific you can be, the better it is. That's my conundrum always is like, how much do I put out there? Because it could be infinite. So,
I guess you could go about it two different ways. You could go about it from the angle of the nonprofit. Are you a new nonprofit established, looking to grow, and the ways that you could help them? You could do it that way, client facing,
mhm,
or you could also do it on your services page, and you could break it out into something like it doesn't have to be like, are you a nonprofit beginning up, but like, your starter services and your growth services and do it that way. And you can show people that you work with different organizations on different levels. That could be
mm,
a way to showcase that. I would caution you to not get too granular in what you
okay.
but just show people what can be accomplished at each different level. That could be a nice way to bucket things.
Okay. All right, great.
And also I want to say, I don't think you have to list every single service on your website. You want to give people a sample of how you're able to help them and then encourage the conversation to go further when someone gets in contact with you. I did notice, I want to bring up two things. I'm on your services page and your navigation has disappeared up at the top, the menu, the navigation menu.
Okay.
It would be
Yep.
important to be able to carry that through to all of your sites. Actually, this is kind of beautiful. I love what you have done here, just having the Bernadette Mack logo on the left. There was a way that you could use this format for the homepage and have your navigation up here, minus the social links. This would
Yeah.
be a nicer landing space because then you have this big hero section with an image, and then you can have those two lines and a button on that homepage.
Okay.
What was I saying? Oh, that what I wanted to mention was when someone gets in contact with you, let's find a button. So text or email. First of all, okay, it goes to another page. It would be nice to keep this page as well, the same layout as all the other pages. So we're seeing the same navigation, the same logo, the same button, all the pages. We want to keep the top navigation consistent, the look and feel.
Okay.
And then if possible, you have email me or text me about your writing needs. Do you enjoy when people do you work best when people text you or call you? Do you have a preference, one or the other?
Well, I have to say that I've never received a text for an inquiry about working together, unless it's someone I already know. And that's generally how my business has been. It's word of mouth and it's people that I've either worked with in the past or people in my community here where I am now, like passing the word along. And that is great. But that tells me that my website is not doing anything in terms of attracting people and bringing them into I don't get emails or texts from strangers being like, "How can I work with you?"
Okay. Yeah, so that tells us that people aren't reaching out when they get to the website. Maybe
Right.
they're not making it, and this would be a deeper dive, but maybe they're not making it to the contact page. They land on the homepage or they go to your resources, but they never actually make the journey to this contact page.
Yeah.
I've
I sorry. I just
oh,
wanna
no.
tell you that I listened to your, couple of series, podcasts about, website data and, looking at that, and I looked at my Google Analytics, and it shows that I get a lot of visitors, relatively speaking. They're mostly all going to the blog, and that's about it. It's like my homepage and then the blog. Um, so I think that kind of is saying, like, they might be reading they're coming from either a direct search or, like, just organically searching. So, I mean, that's what I can tell from Google Analytics, and I'm not an expert, but so they're not really doing too much other than reading the blog on my page.
That's really helpful information to know. If they're just coming to your homepage, what you can get from that is that people are coming to your homepage and it's not clear on how you can work with them and we're not guiding them to the next step in the process. That's one of the issues that they're just coming to the homepage and leaving. But if they're coming to your blog, which is a wonderful way to get traffic, I was gonna say, let's see, they're coming to, let's go over to one of your blog posts and they land on it. Contact me. So what I would do is you already have a sidebar. When someone comes to your website from to a blog post, you want to see if you can capture their attention and take them on this journey a little bit further. You already do have a sidebar, which is wonderful. Maybe it would be nice you have them trying to get on the email list. You have all these categories. Perhaps you could have, another link to more of your resources instead of just a list of your categories. But more importantly, at the bottom, and I don't know what Kajabi allows you to do, but at the bottom, when you get to the end of this page, you have contact me, which is good in the end of your blog post. Is there a way to add another box to have one of your free resources? Or to have a box that says, here's how I help people and drive them to your services page? Is there a way when they get to the end of the blog post to have them continue the journey to learn a little bit more about you? So keeping
Yeah.
your website a little bit longer. That could be an ad that you have, add on to this page that you could do.
Okay.
I'm going to go back though to the contact page and just mention this. If no one has reached out to you with your telephone or texting you, sometimes I feel like texting or calling is a heavy lift. These days, people just don't want to do it. Maybe try adding a contact form to this page. It's a little bit softer to entry. You could just ask for important information, name, email, maybe size a nonprofit or maybe nonprofit goal, and then have a message and see if people are filling out that form and getting in contact with you that way. That would be a nice way to be able to track your conversions from this page, as well as to have your email, which you don't have it on this page. Having a form and having your email would be two nice ways to be able to get people to continue the conversation with you.
Okay. Do you see forms working for a lot of your clients?
Most of my clients either have schedulers on their contact page or they have a form because they want to pre-qualify before they actually have a consult call. And a lot of times the forms are actually coming from their CRM because that's how they get into the system. So yes, most of my clients either use a form or a scheduler, and that's their main way of contact. I
Okay.
think for physical businesses, the telephone or text is what works best. But for more online and virtual services, usually a form or a consultation call, it has better results.
Okay. Because like, I'm one of those people that if I see a contact form, I'm like, "Ugh, I'm never gonna hear from these people." So it's like I don't wanna put my information in because I feel like I want the answer right now, or I wanna take the action right now. I don't wanna wait for however long it's gonna take them to get back to me. So I was reluctant to use a form, but if that works well for other, like, online-based businesses, then I'll definitely try it.
Well, with the form, making sure right up at the top you say, I'll be back to you in 24 hours after you fill out this form, making it clear when you're going to go back to them. And after they hit submit, making sure there's a custom message. Thank you for your inquiry. I will be in touch soon. But if you're having a consultation call, do you have consultation calls with your clients?
I do, but again, these are usually people coming to me. I either know them from someone else, they've been referred by someone I already know, so I've gotten some background, or they're people that I've worked with in the past that are coming with a new project that want, to work on something. Um,
Okay.
so I don't have to do a lot of like cold calling or like trying to um sell people over the phone or something. You know what I mean? Like there's not really that inflow of um like outreach from people.
Okay. If you don't think that you need to have like a schedule here for someone to book, because you mentioned it yourself, you just want to immediately take the action. If
Yeah.
the action is eventually going to be to have a call with you, then my suggestion would be to add the call right here to your website. But if you want to pre-qualify or make sure it's the right fit before you do, then having a form and really sharing what's going to happen when someone fills out that form, but also having your email address. Because like you said, maybe some people don't want to fill out the form, they just want to email you. So having your email address listed on the contact page would solve some of these concerns.
Okay. All right, great.
And then one final thing I'll mention is the footer too. The footer on this page, I really liked the look and feel. Obviously making the navigation a little bit more concise like you would do up at the top, but keeping your socials and the copyright. And even maybe having a get in touch or take the next step or that action that you want in the footer. But carrying that through, that's the same page. Carrying that through to every single page, making sure that your blog has that same footer throughout the whole site will help as well with the consistent look and feel.
Okay.
Keeping people, see, when we do the blog goes to different site, which is, 52 guests. Yeah, all the pages look a little bit different. So making sure to keep the pages consistent. That page looks the same. So making sure that all the headers and the footers are consistent. So when someone is clicking around, they know they're in the same place and there's no confusion.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think maybe just changing that hero, getting clear on that, the navigation, and then really streamlining the services and the contact page will help with the flow of people understanding what you want them to do on your website.
Yeah. All right, great. I have another question about my logo. Noticed that I mean, I know that I use two different versions of it. And I just wondered which one you prefer and if I should have a tagline or not.
This is a first one, Bernadette
Yeah.
Mack Solutions for Busy Nonprofit Leaders. And then this is the second one that you have.
Yeah.
I like without the tagline, assuming that when someone lands, we're going to immediately see who you are and how you help and being.
Okay.
I like it. I like your name. You could use this. There are cases where you could use this, if you have print materials or you're working with someone or you're doing a presentation. But for your website, I like it really simple. Your logo very clean and small in the upper left-hand corner. People always want their logo larger than it needs to be, but you want your words to shine so that someone knows what you want them to do. So if you make that a little bit smaller on the side, even the square version, and then you have the hero taking up more space, I think that might be a better fit and easier for people to like understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm. All right, great.
Oh. So, Bernadette, want to share? You can share your website, shout out whatever you want, and people can go check out your site and your services and get in contact if they're interested. Go for it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, if you are a nonprofit or even a small business and you're looking for help with strategy, marketing, writing, fundraising results, all of that kind of thing, you can come to my website and hopefully soon it will be much more clear to understand what I do. Thanks to Jenny. It's just BernadetteMack.com and reach out anytime. Happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bernadette. I appreciate
Thank
you
you.
chatting today.
Thanks so much. Your ideas are always amazing, and I'm just so glad to know you and have you as a resource for all of my clients.
And there you have it for our first small business website audit. If you are interested in having an audit done on your website and would love to chat with me on the pod, I would love to have you. You can head over to my website, jennybedesigns.com, and go over to the contact page, shoot me a message. I'd love to hear from you and we could set something up. Talk to you next time. And that wraps up another episode of Website Design Made Simple. I hope you found the insights shared in this episode valuable and takes you one step closer to creating a website that attracts more of your ideal clients and builds your brand. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. Your review will help us reach more small business owners like you who are ready to make more money with their website. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.